What's up, Bulldogs? All right, so just got out of the gym Monday, 51 of 75 hard. Having some pretty amazing progress. I'll give an update once I finish this whole thing and show you kind of the physique transformations, but getting pretty jacked and pretty ripped from doing this, which is pretty cool. So I want to talk about a few things here. One of them is this idea of transformation, right? So let me lay the foundation here. So I'm going to be making some shifts with my content in this channel as I'm trying to find an identity for this channel. And I mean, I guess it's really been here all along, right? Which is really, what is Bulldog Mindset about? What is this channel about? The key underlying thing is transformation, is how to transform yourself. And why? Why is that? Well, that's what I've done. That's what I've done. If you go back to my older videos, you can see where I transformed myself. I've done this multiple times, transformed my body, of course, but my mindset, my voice, my appearance, my persona, my confidence. I've transformed myself, right? I've become a completely different person more than once. And I want to show you how to do that. I want to show you how to unlock this, because not very many people have been able to transform themselves. You don't see it very often. It's pretty radical when you do see it. And it's just so clear in my case. And it's something that I have done myself. I've helped a lot of other people be able to do. And I want to show you how to do that. That's why you're here, is you want to transform yourself in some way. And so I want to show you how to actually really do that. So with that said, I want to tell you a little bit of a story about skydiving. I just went skydiving recently for the first time, and I want to tell you about how that came to be, why I did that, and it's something about transformation. One of the key things I'm going to be teaching you about transformation. It's so essential. So it began with a little party for my friend John's wife, Sabrina. We went over his house, and he had some people getting together there. And I was talking with a couple of guys in the kitchen. I was talking with John and a guy, Casey, really cool guy, and this other dude, Donnie. And we were talking about transformation, basically, or we were talking about John had this ayahuasca experience. And in this experience, he was roaring. He was just puking and roaring, right? Just unleashing this beast within him. And it was quite this profound experience. And he came away from it just with this new beast mode activated. And he wants to activate this beast mode in everyone, right? Which is good. I love that. I love that attitude and that mindset. And I think it was important. It unleashed all this stuff that he was holding in him. He was purging it, is what he said. Freeing himself from all of these constraints that he had put on himself. And so when he was describing this, I talked about how, look, what you're describing is something that I've gone through. I know that this produces transformation. I know this is essential. And I showed him my videos. I showed them my videos from back in the day, in simple programmer days, like 10 years ago, when I was a completely different person in every way. And if you look at those videos, I'm not kidding you. My mannerisms, the way I talk, the sound of my voice, it's a completely different guy. Just a completely different guy. All right. And so I was saying that transformation, a lot of that came from the yelling. They're like, what are you talking about? From the yelling? How does that transform? So let me explain this to you. Right. So I told him about how the first time I had done this, right, I went to a Tony Robbins seminar. And in this Tony Robbins seminar, it's called Date with Destiny. I did some videos on this, by the way. You can check those out. But Tony, he's got you dancing and singing and jumping around. And there's a point where he's got you roaring, just screaming, just making noise, just doing whatever, going out of your mind, crazy, and just going all out. And when you're there, what happens is, at first, when you're supposed to be doing this, for most people at least, you're kind of jumping around, but you're looking around and you're like, rah, rah, looking around to see what are other people doing. Are people noticing me? You're self-conscious, right? I've talked about before, I think I did a video on self-consciousness versus self-awareness. If not, I think there's definitely one in the membership. If you haven't checked out the membership, click link down below and check that out. But anyway, so, I'm there and I'm doing my, and then finally, and he's like, no, just go all out, just do it. Like, don't care what anyone else is thinking or whatever. And so finally, I just freed myself and I'm not gonna do it right now, but just completely went wild and just just screaming, just whatever I wanted to say or come out, or noise I want to make, or move my body in whatever way, just total free, just like you've never been free before. I don't give a fuck who's watching me. I don't care. Who the fuck cares? You know what I mean? Just reckless, no holding back, nothing. And that is transformation. That is, and let me tell you why this is. And I was telling them about this. I said, look, here's why this works. There's this thing called bioenergetics. I first learned about this from Elliot Hulse. Shout out to Elliot, my friend Elliot. All right, now bioenergetics is this idea, and it's very true. I believe this, that emotion is stored in the body. So it's stored in different muscles of the body, different parts. So this emotional trauma that we go through, when we don't fully process these emotions, it gets trapped in the body. And so when you look back at John from 10 years ago, simple programmer John, I can try and emulate him if I try to just be very closed up and, hey guys, John Summits here from simpleprogrammer.com. And sorry, just I can't even do it really, not anymore. But the thing is, like, he was constricted, just like the voice was stuck in here, stuck up in the head instead of the chest, right? Because that's all constricted. His posture was forward because he was not open and free. And so the thing is that when you release this bioenergetics, this idea of just unleashing these, you're unleashing these pent up emotions, you're freeing yourself of this trapped emotional energy. And it sounds woo woo, I get this, but hey, some things are woo woo and they work, but there's fundamental truth in this. This is the key to transformation. If you want to know transformation, this is the key to it. It will change you. It will unleash the beast. Right? You have to roar. You have to. And I've gone through this multiple times. I was telling him how I went to Elliot Hulse's camp. He had a grounding camp. And we did this. We stared at each other. And if you've seen my bulldogmindset.com, the picture of me roaring, it's from there. And it changes you. It unlocks something in you. And so, I mean, that's what we call transformation, right? And so I'm telling these guys, and while I'm telling them, I just show them. I'm like, look, this is what it's, and I'm just in the kitchen, at this party, everyone's there. Sabrina's parents are there, right? It's like, there's just a ton of people there. And here I am just in the kitchen, all of a sudden going fucking crazy, just roaring, just dancing around, just screaming like a wild, crazy man, right? Everyone's looking at me. They're like, what the fuck just happened? I don't care, right? I talk about like being fearless and this fear unlocked, like just being uninhibited. It's freedom. And I was telling him how freedom is not caring what people think. And I said, if you're really free right now, you can walk out into the street and you can sing at the top of your lungs. There's no consequence for doing that. It's only imagined. It's a restriction on your freedom. You're not free if you can't do that. You're not truly free. And so as the universe does, it tests you. And it tested me that day. Because guess what happened a little bit later that evening? Most people had left. It was me, Donnie, John, and we're standing around. And John's like, oh, this is like 7:00 at night. We're going skydiving tomorrow for Sabrina's birthday. And he's like, you should go. Have you been skydiving before? And I was like, no. And then he's like, you should go with us. So at that point, there's a couple things that are going through my head, right? So I already know that this is happening. I'm not even going to hesitate. I'm not even going to say no, because I know that with my performance in the kitchen, with my talk about freedom, about overcoming fear and being free and how to become free from that, right? And I had already had another talk with Donnie. I coached him on fear because he had some fear around public speaking and told him how to overcome your fears and that you have to just embrace them. So I knew that the universe was going to test me. I knew this was the test. This was it. I'd never gone skydiving. I'd conquered all my other fears. I had jumped, got on roller coasters and got on airplanes and crazy rides and jumped over. I was telling Donnie about the time when I jumped over a fence to go shirtless to go talk to a girl after a run at a coffee shop and sat down at her table because I was just fearless. But I had not conquered the fear of jumping out of an airplane. So I didn't hesitate at all. I just said, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm down. I'm signing up. I was like, oh, I got to do a long run tomorrow. He's like, yeah, but you could do that afterwards or before. I was like, what time we got to go? 10:30. Yeah, of course I'm going. Of course I'm going. Right? In the back of my head, I'm like, damn, John. Yeah, this is it. But I'm also like, you're committed to this. Like, do you really believe what you're saying? And it really is true, John. It really is true. What you're saying about fear, what you're saying about, and you know that you have this, that you've conquered this fear, that you have transformed, and you know this will be a transformative process. And see, part of this also is that there was some fear, not as much as I used to have, because I know now some things about fear. I've learned how to conquer fear. I've learned how to not let fear master. It doesn't have a hold on my life anymore like it used to. I used to be terrified to fly in an airplane, terrified, like to the point where I would dread it 3 months in advance and then cancel the flight at the last minute. That level of fear, now it's no problem. I fly all over the world. But what happened in that moment was that I committed. I absolutely committed. There was no question in my mind. I did not say, we'll see. I'll sign up and we'll see how it goes. Or maybe, in my mind, I was like, that is happening. There's no way this must happen. In fact, that's what I was saying. My wife, Nicole, she's like, you don't have to do this if you don't want to do this. I said, no, I do have to. It must happen. It must happen. It must happen. It must be. It has to be. And that conviction is what I do believe that one of the hacks to eliminate fear or to minimize fear is commitment, is conviction. Because once you're committed to a thing, once you've accepted your fate, a lot of that fear dissipates. There's still some anxiety. It really transmutes into excitement, I would say. But, I definitely was still a little wired. I wasn't planning on jumping out of a plane and then 8:00 at night, I'm signed up and I'm going to go do it 10:30 the next morning. So long story short is I got up, I did it. There wasn't a big hoopla about it. I was a little nervous, a little anxious, but I didn't even really think about that. What I did was I played over in my head 100 times that feeling, what it would feel like. And I'll do another video and just describe this whole process to you, but you'll have to stay tuned for that one because this one's running a little bit long here and I got to get to work. But I replayed in my head that feeling of stepping to the edge of the door, of the open door of the airplane at 13,000 feet and just seeing what does that feel like. And you can feel it. You can feel it. And I felt that feeling in my stomach over and over again. I didn't fear it. I just wanted to experience it. I just wanted to pre-experience it. I prepared my nervous system. I prepared my body. I prepared myself, pre-visualizing that moment. And I did it. I jumped and there you go. And I proved what I said. But I'll tell you a little bit more about what that's like to actually skydive, if you're curious about that. But I want to wrap this one up and just say that, yeah, I think the focus that I want to shift to is more on transformation. Like, how do you do this? How do you do these things? Because I have been able to transform myself in many, many ways. And I think that's the appeal of Bulldog Mindset. I think that's why a lot of people sign up for a membership initially, is they want to be able to transform themselves. That's why I want to show you how to do. That's what I'm the expert in doing. I've done it so many times. I've done it myself. I can show you how to do this. And it's, I think everything sort of feeds into that, right? Everything from the mindset is huge for transformation, but the physical, the fitness, even the dating and understanding women, it's a transformation of the mind and the monetary transformation that can take place in your life. But how do you transform your life? How do you transform yourself? How do you transform your identity? These are the big questions. And like I said, the key is in the roar. And so what I'll give you today, what I'll give you is this, and we'll talk more about this, believe me. But I would tell you that if you haven't done it yet, you've got to roar. You've got to unleash 100%, and people have to be around. It's hard, but it can be done in any moment. In any moment, you can choose freedom. There's no build up to this. There's no exercise you have to do to get closer to this. In one moment, if you so choose, you can be free. It's just like enlightenment. It can exist. A Satori moment, just like that. It's a choice that you make. If you haven't signed up for the Bulldog Mindset membership, I encourage you. I invite you. Check it out. A ton of lessons in there. It's all about transformation. I'll see you tomorrow.